We are one game in, and we want to take a look at some of the awards markets going on in the National Football League. And Sam, before we jump that way, it was an interesting big picture thing going on in the NFL. And we were talking about how the coaches were being more conservative, many willing to go with field goals. We know a number of them ended up probably making mistakes. Sometimes it matters, sometimes it doesn't. But did you realize we only had 2 300-yard passers in week one? In week one, it
Mm.
was Tua for 338. It was your boy Staffy for 317. So we had only 2 300-yard passers and 7 100-yard rushers, a couple like in that 150 range,
This is like 2006, not
right?
2024, right? With Sean Alexander and LaDainian Tomlinson just leading the way, and a bunch of good quarterbacks, but not great quarterbacks. Obviously, Mahomes is great. Josh Allen was awesome, but he does a lot of his work with his legs. I was actually looking at the market yesterday in the afternoon when we got off the show, the passing leader market.
Mhm.
And there he is, Tua, favored again to lead the league in
Wow.
passing. Then Mahomes, then Stafford. Dude,
Not
not betting
happening.
Stafford.
Not
No, there's
happening.
no shot. He's got to stay on the field.
Mm-mm. No chance. Uh, yeah, and we could bring that over to MVP too, because that's the one that people talk about of the awards. That's the one people bet most. Mahomes, Allen, Stroud. I don't have any issues with that order. Do you? That's the top of the
Nope.
board.
And then Hurts fourth. I did see some fallout on Friday night, Saturday morning about how Jalen Hurts is washed. I
Oh
don't think
God.
I'm ready to have that conversation yet. Was he rusty? Yes. Did you not like him going for the fumble? I get it. He's not trying to break his hand week number one on a fumble. It's going to take some of these guys some time. And, Jalen Hurts might not need to be the best player anymore on offense because they have the offensive player of the year right now, don't they, Joe?
Oh,
Don't
do
they?
they?
Don't
Do
they?
they?
And
Which
Saquon
one?
Barkley. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. What is he second? Second favorite?
He's only behind Tyreek right now at most places. And there's a guy, talk about missing one game and the impact of Christian McCaffrey not playing in a week one affair against the
Yep.
Jets. McCaffrey as high as 15-1. It was basically Tyreek, McCaffrey, Tyreek at most books coming into the season. McCaffrey misses one game, 13, 14, 15-1 for the award.
So there's already talk that he's going to miss next week at Minnesota. You have this performance by Jordan Davis after you yelled at him. There's no reason to believe that going against the Minnesota Vikings defense after what he did against the Jets, what they did against the Jets, that he couldn't repeat that performance. So if you have any questions about CMC's health, I would sit him. You should be able to take care of business, even a short week at the Vikings. I saw Schefter saying, he could miss week 2. If he misses week 2, he's the reigning award winner for this. I think he's out. I think he's out of the
Yep.
running.
He'd be out. I was looking for
Yeah.
a price on Jordan Mason just to give you an
Oh my
idea of
God.
where it's lined at. He's not
Yeah.
even on the board. He's not even on the board because eventually McCaffrey is going to come back, and at that point, the story is over, right? The carriage turns into a pumpkin. But he was awesome yesterday, Jordan Mason. So give him full credit. CD 10-1, McCaffrey, as I said, 13, Brees Hall 14, Jefferson 14. I don't know. This feels like this is Tyreek's award until it's not. I'll be pulling for Barkley. I don't think he's going to get 3 touchdowns a game. But look, the good thing about Philadelphia's attack is that their offensive line, even without Jason Kelsey, is one of the best in football. Whether you want to be in the Detroit bucket or the Philly bucket in the NFC, those are to me the best offensive lines. And, we talked about this a little bit on Monday's show. People want to drag Philly for all the turnovers and all that. How
Mm-hmm.
many teams can turn the ball over that many times and still win? There's not a lot in the NFL. There's not. So
Yep.
they were impressive to me because they battled the turnover monster. They were resilient. They were down multiple times in that game. and still found a way. And this guy, Barkley, looks rejuvenated. I mean, he's running through holes he never had in New York. I mean, these lines in Detroit and Philly. Look at David Montgomery. He was average in Chicago. He was a damn bowling ball on Sunday night.
He
The
looks different.
offensive line,
Doesn't
the
he look different?
offensive line play in Detroit
Yeah.
and Philly is A plus. That's how good they are.
All right. There's one name that stands out that I want to ask you about for this award. And there's a little bit of value. He dropped from 10 to 15. And I don't understand the drop. What about CD Lamb?
Right there, I mean, he's in the conversation. He's not
Yeah.
as electric, at least, as Tyreek Hill right now. Tyreek is just, if you get Tyreek the ball in space, he makes one man miss and he picks up 20 yards after the catch.
Yeah.
That's where he's just different. And, the longer McDaniel's there, the more creative he's going to get with how to get Tyreek the ball. I mean, they use him in motion all the time, but he consistently gets the ball where he just has to make one juke or one, okey doke, and he's
Oh,
gone for
it's
10,
time.
15 more yards. Yeah, it's crazy. It's
Yeah.
crazy. I did see this in the chat too. Gertch is letting us know there was a Twitch chat yesterday. Somebody in the Twitch chat made 80 units last night on Monday Night Football. Here
K
were the three
Homers.
bets.
Oh boy.
Here were
Yeah.
the three bets. Lazard touchdown, Lazard 2 touchdowns, and Jordan Mason, don't call him Frank Mason, anytime touchdown. That is a night that you will never forget.
They didn't change the odds for Jordan Mason after the fact.
Not there.
Good hit, K Homers. I mean, come on. Why don't you hit us up? We can't keep up with everything going on in the chat during the show. Got to share that stuff like that. Good looks, man. Yeah, Lazard ends up being the dude. Okay. He got Mason over at BetMGM. Yeah, they're not going to change the odds. They're not going Bet365 on you. Let's go offensive rookie of the year. Caleb is still the favorite. Little tiny bit more value after the Bears win. Not much. I see a plus 150 over at BetMGM. The Jaden Daniels numbers coming down. It should be coming down. 2 rushing touchdowns in that game. Look, that Commanders defense, it's still going to be god-awful all season, okay? There's going to be a lot of garbage time opportunities for Daniels. I think his numbers are going to look awesome by the end of the year. I'm not saying he's going to be the better quarterback, but just when people sit down and take a look at who they're going to vote for, they're going to go with the quarterback that has the best numbers for this award. So Jaden Daniels goes down to plus 450. He was plus 600 before. I still think the plus 450 is a pretty good bet because the other names in the mix, third favorite, Marvin Harrison, not involved at all. He will be at some point, not involved as far as week 1. Xavier Worthy is the 4th favorite. Neighbors is the 5th favorite. Wasn't spectacular. But yeah, right now, this is a 2-player award.
I can't believe Caleb is still sizably the favorite. Caleb showed us absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
I don't get it. There's a lot of money in the pools. I mean, people were betting Caleb basically from the night of the draft through Hard Knocks. I mean, Hard Knocks can never be underestimated how much that does for handle. Hard Knocks at BetMGM, alone turned Caleb into an insane favorite for offensive rookie of the year. The Bears win total almost went to 9.5. The Bears are favored to make the playoffs. Everybody's betting Bears. Hard Knocks is nothing but a driver of hype for whatever team is on Hard Knocks. But I look at Jaden Daniels, and I think your point is solid, especially at the price. There are a couple books that have him like 3-1, 3.25. Well, BetMGM's giving you plus 450. So that $100 bet on Daniels makes you 300 here and 450 at BetMGM. Obviously, you have to get the best of the number. Harrison, to me, after catching one ball for 4 yards, maybe not the most excited to bet him at 8-9-1 to win the award. He can't be much worse. And, when I say he can't be much worse, I don't even want to blame him because it's not his fault that he didn't get any targets. Right. The offense has to be better. The quarterback has to look for this Maserati running down the field, calling for the ball wide open in the end zone. That would be a good buy low, I would think, at this point. If you wanted me to make a bet right now at MGM, I would look at Marvin Harrison Jr. for sure. Buying low on a very bad performance. The best part about one bad performance, you got 15 or 16 more weeks left to go, ideally. So,
He-
what's more important, one bad game or the rest of the season? That's the conversation you have to have with yourself.
Here's the shop around lesson of the day. Lad McConkey for Offensive Rookie of the Year. One popular book posting him at 16-1, another at 35-1. Stupid. This doesn't make a lot of sense. I did notice this
Nope.
one. Michael Penix went from 100-1 down to 60. That probably wasn't a lot of bets, but people are looking and saying Cousins looked awful. It's a tough matchup, but Cousins looked pretty bad. Maybe Penix is going to get some run. Now look, if he doesn't play in these first few games, Penix has almost no shot at winning this award. But interesting that we saw that movement down and the guy hasn't hit the field.
For sure. I mean, I think it's just people hoping that they
Yep.
bench Cousins or Cousins, whatever happens to Cousins, that it's going to be the Penix show. But what about, let me ask you about this guy, because you were talking about him to score a touchdown last week and he got you in the
Yes.
end zone.
That's where I was
Brian
going
Thomas.
next. Oh, I was going
Brian
somewhere else.
Thomas.
Okay.
Well, a couple of rookies caught touchdowns. Wait, so you're not
Yeah.
going to Brian Thomas. Where are you going?
I was going for a different award. We'll get to that in a moment. I just think it's going to be too tough. It's going to be too tough for him. Now, if this is still hanging there, if he scores another touchdown and this is out there, to beat Caleb and Daniels is going to be a lot. Injuries always play a factor, but these receivers are going to be really up against it. Keon Coleman's number came down a little bit too. Would you rather bet Coleman or Thomas? Numbers are pretty similar.
I have Coleman at 30-1. I
Yeah.
would like him to be a little bit more involved going forward, but that's a guy that I already bet before the season. I got a 30-1 on Keon Coleman.
Where I was going is comeback player of the year. Despite last night's performance, Aaron Rodgers remains the favorite. Another quarterback didn't look good, remains the second favorite. Joe Burrow. Oh, Anthony Richardson was flashy. He had 3 completions of at least 50 yards. He had a couple of bombs, man. Why is Anthony Richardson plus 650 for comeback player of the year? That seems like a good look to
Don't know.
me.
Nobody betting him. Everybody betting on the sure thing. And this is an award, remember, last year that also revolved around a sure thing. What was the
Yeah,
narrative from September to December?
it's done.
Damar Hamlin. As long as he plays a snap, he's going to win the award. It's a sure thing, right? There's no way he loses this award. And then Flacco with the bag of ruffles on his chest off the couch into the playoffs. The sure thing in these markets is never really a sure thing. I mean, I'm talking to you. You had Robbie Ray to win AL Cy Young at 100-1. I don't need to tell you about the sure thing or the perceived sure thing. You
Yeah.
betting Aaron Rodgers at even money for this award?
Hell no. Hell no.
No.